Alrighty guys, so it is about that time. I'm going to put into the tier list. Also going to update a little bit now that obviously the SP potential are a thing. But yeah, I've been using a lot of this man. It was only just actually not that long ago, a couple of hours ago, where I just hopped back on, and lo and behold, yeah, the ANNI that I was using, just whoever the person is, man, wanted to max him out for whatever reason. So I had the luxury of using the man on both ends in terms of being no dupe to duped. So I do want to kind of give my initial thoughts on what I truly do think about this character. But before all of that, obviously global anniversary, we're 2 days away, fabulous. We got some codes. Alright, so the codes I saw like 12 hours ago, so I'm a bit late. But if you haven't input these codes yet, you can do so. So it's basically half ANNI CD1, and that's the second one. So like I said, just basically change the last number. That's the only difference. So, and that's the last code for you boys. So those are the three current codes that we can use. We get we get gacha ticket. We can AP bot gacha ticket. Oh damn! Oh, we got 3 gacha tickets. Nice. But anyway, coming back on to. So yeah, those are the new codes. Make sure to input them on the global side of things. Now, with all that being said, like I said, been out for a day or so, but I just kind of really wanted to give this man the benefit of the doubt, and just kind of really try him out, see what on average on what we're hitting, and just kind of get a full-on experience with this unit, especially with, I guess more so comparing him to, because of course he is the secondary double hitter that the game has to offer. Realistically, it's going to be more in line of what's the consistency, because of course when it comes to Itadori, it's more so having to activate his ultimate, so it does require a little bit of a build up on the ultimate side of things in order to get that double hit going, of course. So the one thing between the two is that the consistency of obviously having that double hit being available, wins that hands down, purely because it's available within his third skill. So we've always got that double hit in motion with basically all the time the minute you activate it, especially if you've got characters in the line that can provide you with that cursed energy play. Obviously that's also another slight little downside, purely because of the high cursed energy cost that third skill is, depending on because I've been in many situations where I've lost cursed energy because of enemies and whatnot, and that's kind of screwed over I guess the game plan of what ANNI is. Now with all of that, there's a lot of positives to take away from this character, I will say. So obviously once that turtle state comes into play, because honestly that is the biggest sell factor for this character. Outside of the turtle state, it's a bit of a dull, dead character, let's be real. But once that turtle state is in play, you've got 450% damage on the first skill, which costs 0 cursed energy, and on average that's hitting for 1/4 mil per, so that's 2. Right, so that's 1/2 mil being dropped right there. There have been times where I've managed to accumulate 800k, depending on the situation and the buff that you can apply. Because you also got to keep in mind, with every skill that he has, even though you are losing out on the ultimate charge rate, which dropped by 20% when you're in the turtle state, which by the way I don't think it makes a big of a difference, if I'm being completely honest. So I'm just going to put that out there. And then of course you do get that 30% damage dealt drop, but you can gain that back after 3 turns when you reactivate your skill 3. But with all of that, the damage increase that he applied through his skill 1 and skill 2, it's stackable buffs, so it kind of combats the loss on the 30%. But then like I said, after 3 turns you reactivate skill 3, you gain back that 30%. So it's kind of like it's not even the fact that he's weak now when you activate the turtle state, it's the fact that in 3 turns time, he just gets a lot more. He just becomes a bit more of a harder hitter, that's it. Even when he does lose the 30%, like I said, you can quite easily get that back by activating the skill 2 if you choose to, because you get 30% back, although you'll be losing out on the free 30%. So you just have to hold out for 3 more turns to reactivate it. That's basically it. So again, the disadvantage play that this unit has, it's not so much as I mean it is still a disadvantage, but it's not anything too game changing to where it's just like, damn, this is really affecting the character in a negative way, where it actually affects the gameplay, when in reality, no, not so much. It really doesn't do much, to be fair. But like I said, with his skills, he's got the stackable damage buffs, of course. The first skill is fantastic for the high amount of damage he can apply, 0 cursed energy, hitting for half a mil, quarter of a mil per hit. That's kind of on average, and this is more so speaking of a 0 duped INO. When it comes to a maxed out dupe INO, that's when I was achieving 800k to a mil. So like 400k per hit, half a mil per hit, right? So the difference is there. It's a big jump. It's a big jump. Obviously, even in the turtle state, he does have that evasion play. I've not had much luck with that because, of course, the evasion play is at 20%. But to me personally, it's more so for because again, the whole safety barrier within that skill, I've never really gotten lucky with it, unfortunately, with my time using INO, of course. But it's there. I mean, that's the plus side. I mean, his passives also are a decent play in terms of getting back the cursed energy. So obviously you can get what's that +10 at the beginning of the turn, and then of course if he does get tagged by the enemy, then that will relate to him getting a little bit more cursed energy. That's one thing that we have to be very wary of about this one unit. It's more of a 50-50 play because of course he is somewhat high on the cursed energy, but then again, if you do get the ult off, then you can have that cursed energy efficiency, which will lower the cost, makes his character that even more better, so that way you can carry on stacking up those buffs, of course. Honestly, there's more sort of good things about this character than there is negative. I'm gonna be honest. But at the end of the day, it does come down to him being a blue DPS, and we are having to look at the current blue DPS units that we have right now in terms of what we've recently received, and just kind of comparing with those and just go off like, is this character really necessarily needed? Is he a chase? So yeah, with all that being said, so this is the tier list. This is kind of where I've got it at. By the way, I have moved around characters that are like SP potential with where they're at, of course, right now. So whenever it comes to like characters that have the SP potential, that's kind of like their final state. So that's what I'm going to be doing going forward. I'm going to be looking at characters in their final state and judging from there. So that's why certain units are kind of slightly higher now. But for the most part, yeah, I'm pretty comfortable leaving where things are. Just made a few changes, but I think for the most part I'll leave it there for now. Anyway, so INO, blue DPS. Now, again, it really comes down to with what we've received so far in terms of where blue is at and with what we've got, right? You've got Sukuna, you've got Maki, Jogo. Those are the 3 blue DPS that for this year alone released, and obviously one got buff. Oh wait, no, yeah, buff, because Ghetto, well, Ghetto's more of a support, so that's fine. But I don't regard him as, because at the end of the day, I'm not going to max him out. I'm not going to max this man out. So I'm going to have to go off from the damage from what I've experienced through a 0 duped out INO. Where do I... Because honestly, I would low-key put him in here. But I'm telling you right now, the one thing that's really saving him is that double hit that he applies. But I'm going to stick him in A. I'm going to go off from my 0 duped INO plays outside. Because, I mean, okay, I'm going to... If I said, right, I'm going to go off from a maxed out INO, then yeah, of course. I had the luxury of using a maxed out INO with his maxed out recollection page. And, oh, it's nice. Oh, don't get me wrong. What, 0 cursed energy, Taijutsu dropping 400, 450 per hit. Apply the buffs and you can really cook out. You know, you can really start cooking. Oh, it's beautiful. But I'm just going to go off from what most are probably utilizing. And so I think A is definitely where he's going to fit, in my personal opinion. That the consistency and I guess the ongoing two-step being active throughout, especially with you having the correct lineup, of course. Yuki might be an essential character in that play because of the cursed energy. Unless you're able to keep it up, then yeah, that consistency is there for INO. So I think A is definitely where I'm going to be slotting the man. But like I said, he has that S potential value, just requires that little bit more investment. So I'll put that in there just so that people are aware that it's not all doom and gloomy if people are wanting him to be higher. Oh, he can get higher, trust me. If you want to invest into this man, oh, he can cook with gas and be up there with the other blue DPSs. But if we're just going off a singular dupe, which most of us tend to go for, I think for right now, especially with on average with what he's hitting, damage-wise, yeah, I say A is kind of reasonable. So, yeah, I think I'm very happy with that. Yeah, I was going to drop Mucky up. Nah, that's fine. It's fine. Okay, we'll leave it there.